He is doing exactly what the people of Burkina Faso and many other African countries wish their leaders were doing for them.
Traore's decision to expel French forces and reassert control over the country's natural resources has resonated across Africa.
Mais en plus de ça,
Emmanuel Macron insulted all Africans in his remarks. There was one part that caught my attention, where he spoke of ingratitude, and that ingratitude is a disease that cannot be transmitted to humans. He is a human. Our ingratitude is not transmissible to him. This is how this gentleman sees Africa, sees Africans. We are not human in his eyes.
The aborted assassination attempt of Traore, allegedly orchestrated by neighboring Ivory Coast, added to the fury of many Africans. Burkina Faso's military junta says it foiled a major plot aimed at sowing total chaos.
Travail minutieux des services de renseignement.
The meticulous work of the intelligence service revealed a major plot being prepared against our country, the ultimate aim of which is to sow total chaos with a view to placing the country under the tutelage of an international organization capable of regaining control in 10 or 20 years' time, depending on the instigators.
Under Traore's leadership, the economy has strengthened, with Burkina Faso's GDP rising from $18.8 billion to $22.1 billion, a testament to the country's growing independence. By prioritizing the local processing of resources, including gold and agricultural produce, Traore has ensured that national wealth benefits Burkinabe citizens, rather than being siphoned off by foreign interests. Agriculture, the backbone of Burkina Faso's economy, has seen unprecedented support under Traore's administration. Farmers have been equipped with modern machinery, improved seeds and necessary farm inputs, leading to increased productivity and greater food security. These efforts signify a leader dedicated to his people's well-being, committed to strengthening internal resilience and reducing reliance on foreign aid. But such bold steps often come at a cost. The claims by the American general have stirred skepticism, prompting comparisons to the narrative that led to the downfall of Libya's Muammar Gaddafi. The parallels between Libya's fate and the situation unfolding in Burkina Faso are unmistakable. Leaders who seek the true African sovereignty often face disinformation campaigns designed to weaken their influence. If Burkina Faso is left vulnerable to such maneuvers, it may suffer setbacks that will take generations to undo. Africa Bureau, we on, Wild is one. The death of Pope Francis has reignited hopes for the first African leader to be installed at the helm of the Catholic Church in modern times. Many Catholics in Africa, in particular, have said that they felt a kinship with the late Argentina-born pontiff who preferred to lead a simple life rather than focusing on dramatic displays of the Church's global influence. But there are reasons to believe that their time has not quite come yet. Here's a report.
The death and subsequent burial of the leader of the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Francis, set in motion a series of events in choosing the pontiff's successor. The debate was high over Easter in Africa. Africa's share of the Catholic population is growing. The continent is now home to 20% of the world's 1.4 billion Catholics, as the Church struggles to hold on to followers in increasingly secular Europe. Some now believe that the time could be right for the first black pope. One name gaining attention in the Vatican is Ghana's Cardinal Peter Turkson. Cardinal Peter Turkson, 76, grew up in a small town in what was then the Gold Coast, under British rule. He was the fourth of 10 children. His father worked in a mine and as a carpenter, while his mother sold vegetables at the market. Turkson studied in seminaries in Ghana and New York, was ordained in 1975, then taught in Ghana. He later completed advanced biblical studies in Rome. Pope John Paul II made him Archbishop of Cape Coast in 1992, and in 2003, the first cardinal in Ghana's history.
If we are taking an African just because he's an African, is he going to lead only Africans? No, it's a universal church. It's the whole church. But I know that Archbishop Turkson is qualified.
While Turkson's views were, in comparison to the late Pope Francis, they might be more palatable to some church moderates than the rhetoric of Guinea's Robert Serra, a traditionalist cardinal floated by conservatives who has compared abortion, Islamic fanaticism and homosexuality to Nazi ideology. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, Cardinal Fridolin Ambongo has been mentioned. He led efforts to oppose the blessing of same-sex couples in Africa after Francis encouraged acceptance of such unions elsewhere. Ambongo is the only cardinal from Africa on Pope Francis's Council of Cardinals, the advisory committee to the pontiff. In a 2023 interview, Ambongo proclaimed that Africa is the future of the church. It's obvious. And lastly, from North Africa is the Franco-Algerian Cardinal Jean-Paul Vesco, Archbishop of Algiers, who is part of the conclave responsible for electing the successor of Pope Francis, who died at 88 years old.
And people are also saying, oh, blacks, we are not going to get because they are racist. And me, what I know is the Holy Spirit that helps us to do the selection. So I'm just praying that the Holy Spirit will work and cardinals should avail themselves for the Holy Spirit to also take control by not using their own personal biases to do the selection.
Pope Victor I from North Africa was the first African pontiff to lead the church from 189 to 199. Francis, who was from Argentina, worked to make the Vatican reflect the diversity of its members. African cardinals now make up 12% of those eligible to vote in the conclave, up from 8% at the last papal election. Africa still has fewer voting cardinals than some think it should. An African pope could bring new ideas to the church's current challenges, including the ban on married priests. And there is a reason no African has been pope in 1500 years.
Le temps n'est pas encore arrivé.
Our time has not yet come, and we will most likely have to wait a little longer. Why do I say this? Because even though Catholicism seems to be taking root in Africa, I believe there are still many challenges to be overcome here, even though our bishops and cardinals are just as competent as their counterparts elsewhere.
Il faut toujours garder la juste mesure, hein?
We must always maintain a sense of proportion. Africans are not demanding or seeking to claim a pope because this is a call, a divine call.
Predicting the next pontiff is never an easy task. Behind the scenes, however, experts remain skeptical of the chances of either Turkson or Ambongo Besungu making the cut. First, there's the issue of ageism. At 76, Turkson might appear too old to some, while Ambongo, aged 65, might just be considered too young by others, who fear that the next pope could lead the church for decades on end. Cardinals attending the conclave may hesitate to vote for a candidate whose position on this issue could be interpreted as soft or ambiguous. The subject still appears largely to be taboo in Africa. Africa Bureau, We On, World is One.
Four young men 2 Belgians, 1 Vietnamese and a Kenyan appeared before a judge in Kenya's capital of Nairobi accused of trafficking live ants, including the sought-after giant African harvester ant. All pleaded guilty to charges of illegal possession and trafficking of live wildlife species, and trying to hide the insects in syringes lined with cotton wool, which investigators say would have allowed the creatures to survive for up to 2 months. Here is a report from Nairobi.
Four suspects, including 3 foreign nationals, appeared in a court in Kenya accused of trafficking highly sought-after ants out of the country. Belgian nationals Lornoy David and Sepe Lodewijk, alongside Kenyan Dennis Nganga and Vietnamese Du Hung Nguyem, pleaded guilty to the charges. The 4 men were arrested for the illegal possession and trafficking of live queen ants to sell as exotic pets. A magistrate presiding over the case of 4 suspects charged with smuggling garden ants has set their sentencing date to May 7, 2025, during a hearing in Nairobi.
In this instance, the prosecution has gone one step forward and prepared a victim impact statement, which I'll read the title as it is: Illegal Ant Trafficking from Kenya to Asia, Europe and America. So it explains in this instance why the live ants were being trafficked. And therefore, I am not sentencing today. The sentence will take place on the 7th of May at 9:30. Those of you who come from different systems that work differently, please understand our system. This is how it works.
Lornoy and Sepe, 2 19-year-olds who were arrested on April 5th with 5,000 ants at a guest house, appeared distraught during their appearance before a magistrate in Nairobi and were comforted in the courtroom by relatives. They told the magistrate they were collecting the ants for fun and did not know that it was illegal. Possession of any wildlife specimen or trophy without a permit is a criminal offense in Kenya, punishable by a minimum fine of roughly $10,000 and at least 5 years in prison. The Kenya Wildlife Service said the 4 men were involved in trafficking the ants to markets in Europe and Asia, and that the species included Mesocephalotes, a distinctive large and red-colored harvester ant native to East Africa. Kenya has in the past fought against the trafficking of body parts of larger species of wild animals such as elephants, rhinos and pangolins, among others, but the cases against the 4 men represent a shift in trafficking trends, from iconic large mammals to lesser-known yet ecologically critical species. Africa Bureau, Vion, World is One.
Tunisian authorities set fire to tents housing sub-Saharan African migrants in a new drive to clear their informal camps. This as the crackdown on dissent intensifies with the arrest of human rights lawyer following verdict in a sham trial. Here's a report from Tunis.
These scenes have become a daily event in Tunisia since the arrest of lawyers and opposition figures. More than 2,000 people gathered in central Tunis to protest against President Kais Saied and demand the release of a recently jailed rights lawyer. Protesters denounced what they called a police state, labeling Saied a dictator and a tyrant.
These people represent a segment of society that came today to express their anger in a fully civic and peaceful manner. They also wish to address the leadership directly to say, you who once carried revolutionary slogans and aspirations, today you are betraying them.
Lawyers and relatives of Tunisian opposition figures who were convicted of conspiring against state security denounced what they call our made-up verdicts, confirming that they will appeal. A Tunisian court handed down jail sentences of up to 66 years to multiple defendants, including vocal critics of president in a mass trial, criticized by rights groups.
It is a plot orchestrated by the government against its political opposition. As such, the authorities have manipulated a law initially designed to apply to armed terrorists in order to use it against political opponents.
Tunisian lawyer Ahmed Sawab was among the ones remanded in custody, and now his son is among pushing for his release. Since Said launched a power grab in the summer of 2021 and assumed total control, rights advocates and opposition figures have decried a rollback of freedoms in the North African country where the 2011 Arab Spring began. Critics have denounced the mass trial as politically motivated and baseless. The autocratic leader, meanwhile, ordered the burning of tents housing sub-Saharan African migrants in a new drive to clear their informal camps. For nearly 2 years, olive groves around El Amra, a town near the city of Sfax, served as informal camps for thousands of the migrants, but on April 4th, authorities began dismantling the camps. Around 3,300 more migrants had to leave the olive groves, which the National Guard said around 4,000 had left in the earlier operation. Last year, Tunisia signed a $290 million deal with the European Union, nearly half of which is earmarked for tackling irregular migration. Africa Bureau, VON, World is One.
A new Harvard University study found female bonobos teaming up against males to secure higher positions in their social hierarchy. It's one of the rare times such a strategy has allowed females to come out on top in the animal kingdom. Here's a report from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Female bonobos find strength in numbers, teaming up to fend off males in the wild. Along with chimpanzees, bonobos are among humans' closest relatives. Scientists have long wondered why bonobos live in generally female-dominated societies, since the males are physically bigger and stronger.
If individuals, in this case females, join forces, they basically gain power, right? And in our case, females, by forming coalitions, they gain power over males. They can gain dominance within their group, and they can attain, very high-ranking positions within the group.
3 decades of observation in Congo, the only place the endangered bonobos are found in the wild, lend support to the idea of a sisterhood, where female bonobos band together to assert their power. These girl groups chased male bonobos out of trees, securing food for themselves, and females that grouped more ranked higher in the community's social ladder.
We know that around the time of ovulation, in chimpanzee, basically females get beaten up, right? It's a common pattern, male sexual violence around the time of ovulation. And in bonobos, we actually observe the opposite, that they receive less aggression from males and win more conflicts against male. So they somehow gain leverage, right, due to the fact that they are close to ovulation. So we knew that that is a source of female power, right, the leverage they gain.
Combined numbers of female bonobos seem to turn the tide against a male's physical strength. It's one of the rare times such a strategy has allowed females to come out on top in the animal kingdom. The observations show how female bonobos work together to protect themselves from male violence. And talking on conservation, on the other side of Congo and Beni, threatened by armed conflict, volcanic activity and rampant deforestation, Africa's oldest national park is now turning to a new product to raise its profile and strengthen conservation efforts: chocolate gorillas. Virunga National Park in war-ravaged eastern Congo is marking its 100th anniversary this month, by producing 25,000 handcrafted treats at a nearby chocolate factory to be sold in Europe, including Belgium, Congo's former colonial power. Cocoa for the chocolate gorillas comes from farms created at the periphery of the park, and profits from sales of the chocolates are meant to be reinvested in nearby communities. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One.
And that's what's buzzing in Africa this week. Find us on all our social media platforms. Talk to us there. Your story matters to us. We will tell it to the world. Thank you for watching World of Africa on WION World is One. American Joker. I will see you on the next episode. Goodbye for now.
Imagine a world where owning your dream asset is just a click away, where wealth is no longer exclusive to the few. Tokenization, the game changer, transforming assets into digital opportunities. A revolutionary technology opening doors to a new era of investment. Don't miss Token Money Magnet, a bold initiative by Culp Foundation. Only on Beyond World is One.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called Yo1 Wellness Center. The Yo1 Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yo1.com.
Dive into the world of tokenization with me on Token Money Magnet, only on WeOn.
Busting the myths around tokenization, catch me on Token Money Magnet, only on WeOn.
WeOn, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WeOn. World is one.
It's the 29th of April, and this is Race to Power on WeOn World is One. Thank you for joining us, American Joker. Canada marked a new chapter with the election of its Prime Minister, Mark Carney, who has vowed even now to face US President Donald Trump head-on following his tariff war. We'll talk about the celebrations in Canada and Donald Trump's 100